Hello and welcome to episode 17 of By the Brook. It's an absolute scorcher today here at Brook Farm in Mottcombe. So today I'm going to be cooling off by getting in the pond whilst on the search for one of my favourite species here on the farm. A few weeks ago, Natalie and I visited this pond and witnessed some fascinating late night courtship displays from adult newts. Males perform elaborate courtship dances in order to win the attentions of a female. Today I'm back in search of newt poles, in a bid to find out whether the newts have bred successfully. The best way to achieve this is of course with a pond dip. So now I'm here, I can already see that the pond is full of life. So the best thing to do is just to get stuck right in. My waders are ready, all I need is my net. Nailed it. Not all superheroes wear capes, some wear waders. Right, so now let's see exactly what we got for the first dip. Put it in the bucket. Oh my goodness, I can't believe on the very first one we have a newt. You're going to have to get a close-up of this because we've never seen one up here in a day. Right, so I'm just going to scoop him out in order to help us ID exactly which species of newt we've got here. Unfortunately, with all the weed that's in there, it's a little bit murky. So, right, I can see he's covered in black spots. He's got a nice undulating thick tail with an orange underside. So this is a smooth newt. I do have a glass jar up here which we can pop him in because we don't want to keep him out of the water for too long. It could dry out, so if you can pass me the glass jar, we can pop him in there and get some clearer shots. So how amazing is this? I am completely blown away by the fact we've managed to catch a newt during the day. We came up looking for newt poles and instead we managed to find an adult newt. As I said, this is really unusual because they are nocturnal and to see one in the day is pretty rare. And you can see down its back, it's got a nice spiny crest, a nice thick tail and some orange markings along with these black spots which indicate that it is a male smooth newt. And these are characteristics it develops only at this time of the year during the breeding season, all to woo a female, gain her attention, to successfully breed and reproduce. And I think the best thing we could do from now, to cause too much stress, is to pop him back in the pond. Fear not, the bucket next to me is still teeming full of life, so we'll pop him back in the pond and have a look at exactly what else we've managed to catch.
It's incredibly important to return any pond-dipped animal back to where you found it, in order to reduce the amount of stress put onto the animal.
Right. So the first thing that jumps out to me, there are loads of tadpoles which have hatched. You may remember a couple of months ago we came up here and saw them all as spawn. Of course now they've hatched, they're free swimming, and there's loads of them in here. That's just a single net. I've also got something that is just darting around the tub. It's a damselfly larvae and they're completely different to all the other little insect larvae in here in the fact that they're very predatory, so they are just swimming around like maniacs, probably looking for something to eat. We've got phantom midge larvae, lots of daphnia, loads of freshwater snails, even a couple of diving beetles in here. As I said, this is all from one scoop. It just shows that the pond is teeming and completely full of life. And there's something I can see on the vegetation in here, which is a little bit unusual and something you wouldn't expect to find in a pond, and that is a type of or species of clam. So if I'm just going to get it out. And it's absolutely tiny, about half the size of my pinky, if not less. Pinky fingernail, that is. Because of that, they're called fingernail clams. You think, how did a clam end up in a pond here where there's no water flowing into it? Well, they have a pretty cool tactic in which they literally clamp on to other amphibians. So maybe it hitched a ride on that newt that we just saw, and they can then come from maybe the stream up to the pond, and they're hermaphroditic, meaning they can mate with themselves. So once one's here, a whole population can then explode. And they're not particularly rare, but they're not common either, and it's something you don't really see very often. And this is the European fingernail clam. And I think that's really cool, so I just wanted to point that out to you guys. But as I said, loads of tadpoles. However, the thing we were looking for were newt poles. And despite one very different massive tadpole in here, I don't see any newt poles, so I think the best thing we can do is pop all this back in the pond and do a couple more dips and see if we can find any more examples of successful newt breeding behaviour. Not sure that's what we're looking for.
Amazingly, I managed to capture another adult smooth newt, this time an energetic female.
So I've now done several pond dips and unfortunately haven't found any evidence of newt poles yet. And that's because realistically you need to go looking after May up until about July for the best time to go and see these newt larvae in the pond. However, today's endeavours haven't been to waste. We found lots of really cool stuff, including 2 adult newts and definitely a male and a female. So that's really cool to be able to see that. The fact that they're both up here means there's going to be breeding going on. They're laying eggs. So that means in a couple of months' time, we'll come back up after May and we will find some newt poles. And that means that the pond's really healthy. And there's lots of other really cool things that we found today, including all the free swimming tadpoles, always great to see. However, I think there's a hole in my waders. I've got wet feet, so I'm going to get out of the pond. So pond dipping is great fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed today, despite the fact I got pretty wet feet. So if you're going to do it, get yourself some better waders than what I have today. If we have encouraged you to do this, then don't be afraid to get on and do it, because it's really easy. You can pond dip your very own pond in your own gardens. You might be surprised exactly what you find. If you don't have a pond, you can get in touch with your local wildlife groups. They're going to be restarting their pond dipping experiences, as well as their other things like nature walks and guided tours, which are great to do and get you out in the outdoors and learning something new about the area close to you. In previous episodes of By the Brook, we've covered newts in much more detail. And if you want to learn any more pond dipping techniques from us, then go back to episode 2, Wonder of Water, where we do some pond dipping, and also I believe we did it in Magnificent Metamorphoses. Natalie and I both feature on a local radio station's nature programme called This is Alfred, and we actually do a very special podcast on newts. So this is a one-off episode, so scroll back through their website and find it, because we will tell you some amazing facts about these truly special creatures, and they're going to blow you away because they are phenomenal. Don't forget, follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date. We'll be back next month, so stay safe, stay healthy, and enjoy nature. Didn't nail it.